Hello, New Zealand. It is Monday, start of a new week. It's the 3rd of March. Welcome to Daybreak. Good morning, good morning. Lots to get into, so let's get straight into it. One of the posts that I did over the weekend, which, well, got a lot of commentary, is this one. And I put it on X, just comparing the honouring of Ramadan, which Muslims are entering into over the next month, by Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, and comparing it to his message at Christmas. And it was an interesting contrast. I mean, let me just read you what he says. And look, this is not about the fact that the Prime Minister shouldn't be wishing Muslims a good Ramadan, honouring that is happening. It's comparing how weak is the message around Christmas, despite the significance of it to so many in the country. This is what he says about Ramadan. He says, Ramadan is not just a month of fasting, it's a month of spiritual rejuvenation. Muslim Kiwis will join more than 2 billion Muslims all around the world in a period of reflection, devotion, charity and worship. Through fasting and prayers and acts of charity, we're reminded of the values of empathy, humility and resilience, etc. It's about a minute-long message, but then I had a look at the Christmas one at the end of last year, and it sort of says this: Merry Christmas, New Zealand. It's been a massive year, a tough one for a lot of people and a better year than the last for so many. The Christmas season brings out the best in us, a willingness to lend a hand, to being selfless. And I saw that this month when Amanda and I joined 750 people in my electorate of Botany, packing boxes for those in need this Christmas. Didn't mention the church that was involved in that, the local Elim church in Botany, the church that must not be named. I mean, it just seemed like a really wet, weak Christmas message compared to the one for Ramadan. And I was simply asking the question, spot the difference. Look, another study that came out over the weekend, which you won't hear about in the media, but it is a significant one around transgender operations. It's entitled Examining Gender-Specific Mental Health Risks After Gender-Affirming Surgery. It's published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine on the 25th of February. And the background, it's by researchers in Texas, a number of authors for this paper. Transgender individuals face heightened psychological distress, including depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, partly due to stigma and lack of gender affirmation. In other words, not being able to chop off healthy body parts and go on cross-sex hormones. And so they wanted to evaluate the health outcomes. And so they took between June 2014 and June 2024, so a decade of transgender operations. And from 107,000 patients that they looked at the files, those undergoing surgery, transgender surgery to try and change their sex, were at significantly higher risk for depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, and substance use disorders than those without surgery. In fact, feminizing individuals, so in other words, dudes wanting to be girls, demonstrated particularly high risk of depression. Yeah, well, that's not surprising. When you're chopping off body parts, that would make you depressed. And also they were at high risk of substance use disorders. The findings suggest the necessity for gender-sensitive mental health support following gender affirmation surgery. Well, here's a thought. How about having the gender-sensitive mental health support before the surgery to prevent the surgery, and rather than cutting the body, heal the mind? But look, that's one piece of research that you will not see quoted in the media. Probably a funny question to ask you this morning, but what is a strip search? Strip search, according to the New Zealand Police, means a search where the person conducting the search may require a person to undress or to remove, raise, lower or open any items of clothing so that the genitals, buttocks or, in case of a female, breasts are uncovered or covered only by underclothing, so underwear. When can strip searches be conducted to looking for arms, offensive weapons, drugs, evidential material related to serious offences, and weapons that may be used to harm any person. Now, you may be saying, Bob, what are you talking about strip searches for? What's the relevance of this? Well, Speak Up for Women have raised, and that's the group that believes in biological sex, as we all do, rather than gender identity. Speak Up for Women has written to the Customs, New Zealand Customs, and also the New Zealand Police, because let me read you the guidelines for strip searching for New Zealand Police. It says, the person conducting the search must be of the same gender identity as the person being searched. So in other words, a dude who tries to think he's a woman can strip search another woman. I don't think the woman being strip searched really wants that. The interesting thing is that it's actually inconsistent with the Search and Surveillance Act 2012, which I'm sure you've never heard of, which actually say that a strip search can only be carried out by a person of the same sex. Sex, not gender identity. So Speak Up for Women have quite rightly raised the issue that the law is inconsistent, and the police and New Zealand Customs need to stop being woke and need to actually stick with biological sex. If people are being strip searched, they should be strip searched by a person of the same sex, not a dude pretending to be a woman. Another story, meth use. This was a big story over the weekend. Meth use in New Zealand spikes to record high, except in Opotiki after a mongrel mob bust. It's always interesting when the police actually turn up and enforce the law, crime goes down. Who would have thought? But apparently, meth consumption in New Zealand has more than doubled in the second half of 2024, record levels. Apparently, Mexicans and Asian cartels are sending in stock of it, and so the price has gone down in New Zealand. Apparently, New Zealand is awash with methamphetamine. But what I found interesting was that some of the people quoted, these drug experts, said that more action was needed to decrease the demand for drugs. Wow, they're obviously supporting the fact that they're illegal. I mean, this is total opposite messaging to marijuana. And even knocked me down with a feather, the New Zealand Drug Foundation came out and said the same. They say that it's essential that our response to meth focuses on reducing demand. Yeah, this is the Drug Foundation who wants to test your drugs to make sure that the illegal drug you're taking is actually the illegal drug so that you can safely take the illegal drug. They also have pamphlets, which some schools have accessed, talking about how to use meth safely. But suddenly they're saying, no, we should reduce demand. And Drug Foundation points to the police-led Te Ara Oranga program in Northland as a proven health-based model for reducing demand. Now, this is a court where basically drug offenders are sent to, and rather than giving them a criminal conviction, give them treatment, addiction treatment, if the person is willing to go through the addiction treatment. It's always an approach that we've supported. In other words, the coercion of the law forcing people to get the health support they need to deal with the addiction. So it sounds like the Drug Foundation is coming on side and probably agrees with us that recreational dope use should remain illegal. Don't hold your breath on that one. But just to contrast that, yesterday in the Sunday Star Times, apparently this green fairy has been arrested, and Chloe Schwarbrick, of course, has come out in support, describing him as a hero, even though a green fairy is someone who provides black market medicinal cannabis. Now, under New Zealand law, medicinal cannabis is legal, but you need to get it through a prescription and as a result of going to a medical professional who actually knows what the issue is and how much to prescribe. But Gandalf, this green fairy, note the terminology, it's sort of like drag queen. It's designed to give a nice, perception of it. But this green fairy has been busted. Massive plantation. And has been charged with supplying and cultivating cannabis after the police did the bust. The interesting thing is, and Chloe Schwarbrick says, it's appalling, it's an absolute waste of police resources. But here's the problem with these so-called green fairies. Are they allowing patients to smoke it and inhale the smoke? How much are they prescribing? What's the amount that they're telling people to take? Are they dealing with the reaction that some people have to the medicinal cannabis? Do they know how much THC is, the psychoactive substance that gets you high and can addict you, of course? Why aren't they sending these people to medical professionals? And the other thing is that the ESR, which is a scientific lab, have been testing some of this medicinal cannabis and actually found that the THC is actually high in some of these goods. So, yeah, Green Fairy, it sounds good, but not necessarily so. USAID, you know, that group in the United States who have been doling out money to lots of left-wing groups. They found that USAID, and that's the one that Trump and Musk have withdrawn, they found out that they've been giving half a $1 million to Stonewall, which is an LGBT advocacy organisation in the UK. They also gave $40,000 to gender identity seminars in Scotland. And apparently Stonewall may possibly go under because suddenly they're not getting all this funding from groups in the US. And there was also, they've been championing diversity workplaces. So when you think of Stonewall, think of Rainbow Tick Pride Pledge, Inside Out in New Zealand. In fact, it'd be very interesting to know whether USAID has been actually giving some money to some of these groups. However, important to note that in Christianity Today, Christian Post, they talked about the fact that Christian refugee and humanitarian organisations are speaking out because of the cutting of foreign aid assistance from USAID. And the agency has cut around 10,000 agencies. Now, of course, there's been a whole lot of money taken from LGBT activism from USAID, this money that was going into these radical groups. But USAID has also been going into some important humanitarian groups. And for example, World Relief, which is the humanitarian arm of the National Association of Evangelicals, they've been getting grants. They say that they need them for resettlement programs for refugees. And there was also another group as well, which was World Relief and Global Refuge. So these groups have gone without funding. You know, the concern about USAID is that they've chucked out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah, they should get rid of all this radical spending on LGBT and left-wing groups around the world. And, what was it? There was a transgender performance in Guatemala or something like that they were spending money on. Nothing to do with the US and nothing to do with refugees or actually providing actual aid. But the important thing is to figure out where the USAID money actually went to important causes like World Relief, etc. I sent this from a worker at Kiwi Bank. Kiwi Bank is continuing to dig down on their wokeness and DEI. They're celebrating Pride Month this month and a korero on allyship. Very important at Kiwi Bank. And if you don't know how woke Kiwi Bank is, go and have a look at the McBlog. I did a McBlog on that. In fact, the midwives also have, they put out a email to their midwives saying that a checklist has been sent from within the New Zealand College of Midwives to its members. This is according to Hobson's pledge, and saying that midwives have to actively and vocally oppose the Treaty Principles Bill. Midwives. And as Hobson's pledge says, this is more racial division. And how does ordering midwives to obey a thought directive such as the Crown is a treaty violation help with nappies, ultrasound checkups, prenatal classes, and the like? So there's a lot of wokeness coming through these organisations, and that was actually highlighted by Todd Stevenson, who's an ACT MP over the weekend, who said apparently the New Zealand Psychologist Board, so if you're a psychologist, they've got a new code of ethics to embed treaty principles, but also respond to patients' colour, race, sexuality and socio-economic status. Now, I had a look at this, and this was what it said. It's probably a bit hard for you to read, but it says that to be a psychologist in New Zealand, you have to support and respect diversity and inclusion. This includes respecting gender identities, sexuality, cultural values, religious beliefs, and the lived experience of people in their family and whānau. Here's the irony. what they've just said is actually encouraging people to break the law, because as a result of the conversion therapy law, actually you can't respect people's religious beliefs, because the conversion therapy law says that if someone turns up and says that they want to deal with unwanted sexuality and gender issues because of their Christian beliefs, if the counsellor, the psychologist, was to help them with that, they would be breaking the law. Yeah, up to 5 years in jail as a professional. That's what the conversion therapy law says. So these guidelines from the New Zealand Psychologist Board just don't count. Right, that time has gone very quickly. Let me just tell you very quickly what is happening tonight. Straight Talk tonight. We've got Ashley, Peter, Mel and Ate. And tomorrow morning at 8 a.m, Simon O'Connor is going to be streaming live, and he's still overseas. So guess where he is? You know, let's play Where's Wally, although maybe not Where's Wally, where's Simon? Anyway, that's enough for Daybreak. A lot of news to cover because we were covering the weekend. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday morning. This is Daybreak. Have a great day.